Welcome to our channel, where we bring you the latest tech tutorials and networking tips. Today, we have an exciting video for all the aspiring network administrators out there. We'll be showing you how to configure basic switch management on Cisco switches. So let's dive right in. Before we start configuring switch management, let's quickly discuss the benefits of managing your switches. By properly configuring switch management, you gain remote access to your switches, allowing you to monitor and control them from anywhere in the network. This remote management capability is crucial for troubleshooting, configuration changes, and overall network maintenance. Step 1 is to establish a console connection with the switch. Connect one end of a console cable to the console port or USB port on the switch and the other end to the serial port or USB port of your computer. Launch your terminal emulation software and configure the session settings, including the serial port, baud rate, usually 9600, data bits, usually 8, stop bits, usually 1, and parity, usually none. Once you've configured the settings, click Open to establish the console connection. In this video, we are going to use Packet Tracer. Packet Tracer is a network simulation tool that you can use to practice networking. By default, Cisco Catalyst switches allow unrestricted access to the console mode. Once you connect, it takes you into the user mode, enabling anyone to connect and access basic configuration settings. This default setting is reasonable since console access requires physical access to the switch, assuming that the person already possesses control over the device. However, to ensure better security, it is essential to restrict remote access to the switch and secure the switch management. One way to achieve this is by configuring the switch to allow only authorized users to access the command line interface remotely. Let us first configure a password for the enable mode or privileged mode. This is a shared password, meaning if you have several administrators, all of them will use this same password to access the enable mode. Use the enable secret as it is more secure. The enable password was used in older iOS versions. Number 5 is the default, so no need to specify it, and it is the most secure. As you can see now, when I try to access the enable mode or privileged mode, it is now asking for a password. Let us now configure a password on the console. Use the line console 0 command to enter console configuration mode. Then use the password value subcommand to set the value of the console password. Finally, use the login subcommand to enable console password security using a simple password. Let us now configure a password on the terminal lines. When someone tries to access the switch using Telnet, they will be asked to enter this password. This switch has 16 V2I lines, numbered 0 through 15. Use the password subcommand to set the value of the password. Then use the login subcommand to enable login in using a password. Let me now run the running config command to see the current running configurations. You will notice that the enable secret is hashed and is not displayed in humanly readable format. The rest of the passwords for console and VTY lines are in the clear, you can read them. Let us now run this command. The service password encryption command is used in Cisco iOS to enable the encryption of passwords that are stored in the configuration file. When this command is enabled, any plain text passwords configured within the Cisco device's configuration will be automatically encrypted, providing an additional layer of security. Let us configure the host name for the switch. This is necessary for easy identification of the switch, and it is a requirement when configuring SSH. Let us configure SSH so we can secure remote access with Secure Shell. SSH is much more secure than Telnet. The SSH server uses the fully qualified domain name of a switch as input to create a key, so enter the domain name. Generate an RSA key pair for SSH encryption using this command. Specify the key modulus size. Generally 2048 bits is recommended. Here, I will just enter 1024. Optionally, you can set the SSA version to version 2. SSA version 2 is more efficient and secure. Create a local user account if one does not exist. You will use this account to access the switch using Secure Shell. You can create accounts for administrators. Each administrator will use their own account to access the switch. Next, configure the VTY lines to support local usernames, meaning the usernames you have just created will now be able to access the VTY lines. If you want, you can do the same for Telnet access. Use the following command to control which protocols a switch or router will support on its VTY lines. You can decide to use all of them or just Secure Shell and Telnet. Now it's time to configure the IP address of the switch. This IP address will be used for remote management purposes. To do this, we'll navigate to the global configuration mode and assign an IP address to the management VLAN interface. The default VLAN on all switches is VLAN1. You can change the management VLAN if you want. You can also configure the default gateway. You can also configure a name server or DNS on your switch. If you have a DNS server on your network, enter its IP address using this command. Have a DHCP server on your network, and you do not want to manually configure IP addresses on your interfaces, you can do this. Entering this command will show you the IP address that your DHCP has handed to your interface. It will also show you the manually configured addresses. The logging synchronous command helps to prevent log messages from interrupting your command entry in the command line interface by ensuring that log messages are displayed below the command prompt. This improves the overall usability and readability of the CLI interface. By following these steps, you can configure the logging synchronous command on your Cisco switch. The IP domain lookup command enables the DNS, domain name system, domain lookup feature on the Cisco switch. When enabled, the switch will attempt to resolve host names into IP addresses using DNS. This feature is useful when you want to access devices on your network using their host name rather than their IP address. The no IP domain lookup command is used to disable the DNS, domain name system, domain lookup feature on a Cisco switch. By default, when you enter an unrecognizable command in the command line interface, the switch will attempt to interpret it as a hostname and perform a DNS lookup. This lookup can cause delays in command execution. Congratulations! You have successfully configured basic switch management on your Cisco switch. Now, you can remotely access and manage your switch, making troubleshooting and network maintenance a breeze. In a future video, we shall look at how to configure a radius server or triple a server for central management. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you have any questions or requests for future videos, please leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with our latest content. Until next time, happy networking.